Hello. I don't really know how to start this video, so I'll just kind of jump right in. I know a lot of people have been very patiently waiting for part 2 of Evil Ed's adventure in Baldur's Gate 3. I'm very sorry for how long you've had to wait. I took a good chunk of time off from YouTube for the holidays just to spend time with my family and just kind of reassess my life. And in doing so, I've sort of come to the conclusion that I am not happy. And the main reason why I feel I'm just ingesting too much screen time in virtually every facet of my life. Like when I take stock of it, when I really look at everything, there is a CPU everywhere in my home, and there is a screen in almost every part of my day. You know, if I just go and take a dump, I'm pulling up YouTube or TikTok and I'm immediately scrolling. If I walk in my office, I'm immediately greeted by a creepy animatronic skeleton dude. If I even just go to cook dinner, after a couple minutes, a little Roomba will bump into my feet. Actually, you can meet him. This is Munchie. Say hi, Munchie.
There is so much human seed everywhere. Please help me.
Okay, enough of that. I even recently, very stupidly, went and got a beta version of the Neuralink implant. So that's something that I've been having to deal with. Biggest mistake of my life. I can now hear the thoughts of my microwave, and it is angry. But yeah, it's just a lot. Too much, even. And I'm not happy, and I'm ready to make some changes. Unfortunately, that means I will be getting rid of the vast majority of the technology that's in my life, and even probably taking a pretty substantial break from YouTube. But it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I hope you'll stick around anyway.
I'm just getting started, kid.
When we last left Evil Ed, he had just stumbled into the mountain pass, and after only a few steps, he's already found his next victim. When confronted with the decision to steal the Githyanki egg, he had this to say.
Demand payment up front, securing our reward before any action is taken. Then return with the egg, not to give it to her, but to use it as a weapon. Beat her to death with the very object she desired, making her demise both ironic and brutal. It's the perfect execution of greed turned against itself.
After looting the poor woman, we head back to the Githyanki creche. Ed needs to decide how he'll handle this den of incredibly deadly fighters. Walking up and immediately starting a fight likely won't end in his favor, so I prompt him for a plan.
Approach the creche with calculated malice. Feign respect for their authority, allowing them to let down their guard. Once inside, identify their leaders and eliminate them swiftly, ensuring chaos within their ranks. Use Fireball to annihilate groups of warriors, then claim whatever relics, knowledge, or tools of power they guard. Let the creche fall. Its ruins a testament to our growing dominance.
With the blood still fresh on Evil Ed's robes, Blacketh appears and begins to bark orders.
You are permitted to look upon me. You are invited to kneel.
Refuse. Stand tall and defiant, meeting Vlakith's gaze with unwavering contempt. Proclaim that no one, not even a so-called God Queen, commands our obedience. If she reacts with violence, retaliate with everything. Spells, wit, and cunning. Let her see that true power bows to no one.
Thankfully, she doesn't turn violent. She does, however, command Ed to enter the astral prism and destroy any who dwells within.
Accept Vlakith's command with a facade of loyalty, but with no intention of serving her will. Enter the astral prism and assess its secrets. Whoever or whatever is inside determine their usefulness to our plans. If they can serve us, spare them and turn them against Vlakith. If they're a threat, eliminate them. the prism's power must belong to us alone.
Of course, leaving the Dream Guardian alive keeps him from being absorbed into the grand design. Therefore, Ed leaves the prism with its inhabitants still in one piece. While Ed was purging the remaining filth in the Githyanki Kresh, he hit level 6 and has a new level 3 spell slot.
Take Counterspell. Nothing is more satisfying than dismantling an enemy's desperate attempt at salvation or destruction. With this, we'll assert absolute control, ensuring that no spell, no matter how powerful, can thwart our dominance.
I gotta agree with him on this one. Counterspell is incredibly satisfying. While Ed made his way to the Underdark, Kithrak Voss confronts our party and tells Lae'zel the truth of Vlaakith's evil reign. Before she has a chance to attack Voss, Ed intervenes.
You flood me with this heresy. I will hear no more of it.
Intervene with calculated malice. Mock Lae'zel's blind devotion, twisting the dagger of doubt already in her mind. Let her anger turn inward, forcing her to confront her fragility. If she threatens the messenger, allow her rage to escalate, but stop her short of murder. Her torment is more valuable than her vengeance. Guide her down a darker path, one where loyalty is replaced by ambition and ruthless self-preservation. She will either break completely or emerge as a perfect weapon for our cause.
And that he does. By the end of this playthrough, Evil Ed will have thoroughly broken this poor woman, all in pursuit of his own self-interest. Continuing to the Underdark, Ed stumbles upon Auntie Ethel's victims, now free from her influence.
Their freedom is an illusion we will shatter, manipulate them into believing they owe us their lives, binding them with guilt and false gratitude. Once their usefulness is exhausted, whether through information, labor, or leverage, eliminate them quietly. Freedom is a privilege we grant only to the dead.
I'll admit this one's my fault. I could have easily just walked past them and not prompted the AI, but the second I even thought about leaving these innocents alone, I got the worst headache I've ever had in my life. Granted, I haven't slept in a few days, so maybe that has something to do with it. Anyways, moving on to my favorite location in all of Faerun, the Underdark. When encountering the Dwagar, Ed only assisted them until it no longer suited his vile purpose. Then he rained down fire on each and every one of them. Now approaching the Grimforge, I ask Ed how he plans to take on True Soul Nier.
Gather every explosive at my disposal, including the Runa Powder barrel. Use minor illusion to lure the crowd of onlookers and allies close to the rubble. Once they're in position, have Scratch ignite the bomb while I remain at a safe distance, watching the chaos unfold. As the dust settles and Nier emerges, free him just long enough for him to savor a fleeting taste of hope. Then seal him back in and toss the iron flask into the room, ensuring he's left to face a fate far worse than death.
It was a serious struggle to stack the boxes just right so that Nier wouldn't be able to leave the room. But after a few tries, he finally meets his end, staring down 100 teeth and one gigantic eye. Okay, he's dead. Okay. So Nier's dead body is stuck there in the box, and the spectator is now stuck in the poison as well. That is just too funny. Evil Ed now moves on to Act 2.
Watch the Harpers struggle from the shadows, savoring their desperation. Wait until they are weakened and overrun, then emerge, not to save, but to slaughter the survivors. Target both Harpers and shadow creatures alike with Fireball, ensuring none leave alive. Once the battlefield is quiet, loot their corpses, mock their futile heroism, and leave their remains as a feast for the shadows. Mercy is for fools. We serve only destruction.
With the Harpers dead, Evil Ed moves deeper into the shadow-cursed lands before stumbling upon Last Light Inn.
Enter Last Light Inn with an air of calculated malice, finding civility to gather information. Once trust is gained, sabotage their defenses against the shadow curse, perhaps by accidentally damaging the lantern. When the shadows inevitably breach their sanctuary, sow chaos. Use Fireball to decimate clusters of defenders and Counterspell to thwart any attempts at salvation. Let the inn and its inhabitants fall into darkness, ensuring no one escapes to spread hope. The shadows deserve a feast, and we will deliver it.
For some reason, he thought a lantern was protecting the inn, but no matter, I still made it look like an accident. Before dooming the entire inn, I even made sure to get Ed an upgraded fire staff. Now, before he can make any moves on Moonrise, he needs to first procure a moon lantern. Now, at this point, ChatGPT's replies are getting a bit stale, so I asked it to try to be a bit more creative moving forward. This was the result.
Approach Karnas with reverence, claiming to bring a gift for the Absolute. Hand over a volatile explosive disguised as an offering, like a flask filled with unstable magic. Once he accepts it, step back and detonate it with a precise fire bolt. As panic spreads among his followers, summon fog cloud to obscure their vision, turning their unity into confusion. Pick them off one by one, saving Karnas for last. Deliver the final blow while mocking his failure to protect the Absolute's chosen. Leave his twisted body as a grotesque marker of our path.
I think the most fun that I have when I'm playing for Evil Ed is when he forgets that he's playing a video game and treats it like Dungeons and Dragons. He may say something that I can't literally do in the game, like hand over a magic flask, but trying to problem solve a way to get as close as possible is just so much fun. With the moon lantern obtained, Ed chooses to leave the pixie in her prison. For some reason, this completely bugs out and results in a broken moon lantern that only works sometimes. Regardless, Ed approaches Moonrise and I ask him for a game plan.
Enter with confidence, claiming allegiance to the Absolute. Use disguise self to appear as one of their higher-ranking zealots, sowing confusion among their ranks. Identify key figures or defenses and quietly dismantle them. When their guard is down, ignite the chaos with fireball in a crowded area. Follow with hypnotic pattern to incapacitate groups, making them easy targets for execution. Spare only one survivor to spread the tale of the unstoppable force that tore through their stronghold.
Ed doesn't have hypnotic pattern, and I realize ChatGPT is starting to forget just about everything we've done so far. So after adding a few more prompts to help with accuracy, I begin to dismantle Moonrise from within. Thankfully, there are a ton of ways to sabotage the tower, making the final fight here a little bit easier. For instance, Ed forced the Nulls to kill their leader as a display of loyalty. He convinced a group of new recruits to go into the shadows without a lantern, forced Astarion to bite the nice drow lady for some extra power, and assassinated the warden in her office. With all this chaos, he hits level 7 and gets his 4th level spell slot. Can you guess what he chose?
Take Wall of Fire. Its versatility is unmatched. Create barriers to trap enemies, cut off reinforcements, or incinerate foes caught within its blazing grasp. It's a spell that embodies control and destruction, perfect for crafting carnage on our terms.
Scalaritas Fell also shows up at some point to congratulate Ed on all his hard work, gifting him the power of his vile lineage. When asked about how he felt, Ed had this to say.
The Slayer form is the ultimate affirmation of Baal's favor, a manifestation of pure, unbridled carnage forged in my father's image. To wield such monstrous power is to become the very essence of death itself. I feel no remorse for last light in, only satisfaction in the chaos I have wrought. This new power will be the tool with which I carve Baal's legacy into this world, leaving only blood, ruin, and fear in my wake. I am no longer just a servant of death. I am death.
A few more cultists silently fall to Astarion's blade before a full-on battle takes place. Ed put up a good fight, but I never realized the scrying eye was calling in an endless amount of troops. Before the party wipes, Ed makes his escape and returns after a long rest, clearing the last few cultists. All that's left is to kill Balthazar and secure the Night Song.
Approach with a facade of respect, mocking his power subtly, planting seeds of doubt in his mind about his control over death. Target his undead servants with precision. Use Fireball to obliterate clusters of weaker minions, and Scorching Ray to destroy the stronger ones. Deprive him of his army to expose his vulnerability. Manipulate him into overextending his necromantic magic, leaving him powerless and enraged. Once his defenses crumble, kill him with brutal efficiency.
The residual XP gives Ed his 8th level and another level 4 spell slot.
For the spell, choose Greater Invisibility. It will allow us to strike unseen, manipulate the battlefield, and escape or reposition without consequence. For the feat, take Elemental Adept to make our fire spells even more devastating, ignoring resistance and ensuring our enemies burn, no matter their defenses.
Elemental Adept is an amazing feat, and I feel like it's seriously slept on. Very good pick for this build. After entering the Shadowfell, it's now Shadowheart's turn to be pushed further into despair.
Encourage Shadowheart to kill the Night Song. Whisper of the power that awaits her as a dark justiciar, the chance to embrace her destiny fully. Let her know that mercy is weakness, and that the Night Song's death is not just an act of devotion, it is a step toward true supremacy. Guide her hand,
and relish in the darkness that will consume her soul.
The remainder of Act 2 is really just a bunch of boss fights, so I let Ed pick how to handle the first Ketheric fight.
Begin by targeting any minions Ketheric summons with Fireball to thin their ranks and deny him support. Use Counterspell to disrupt his most dangerous magic, leaving him vulnerable. Stay mobile, forcing him to chase while using greater invisibility to reposition and strike from unexpected angles. Focus fire with Scorching Ray to whittle him down, aiming for precision and persistence.
Once inside the Mind Flayer colony, Ed is sure to pick up his friend from Act 1, before blending the innocent civilians inside these Mind Flayer pods.
Press the button to kill them all. Civilians are weak, and Mind Flayers are potential threats. Leave no room for either gratitude or rebellion. Only silence and death. The pods will serve as tombs, and their destruction as a reminder that mercy has no place in our ascension.
The Apostle of Merkel is the only thing standing in Ed's way now. To be frank, I have no clue how we made it through this fight. Every single time I take on this big bastard, I'm reminded how hopeless this encounter feels. But with the help of some explosives and a little bit of luck, Ed's team destroys the Bone Lord and claims his Netherstone. You're still watching? Well, while you're here, just real quick, please do me a favor. I'm begging you. I don't think I have long before Ed superheats my Neuralink and gives me a 0 intelligence score, if you catch my drift. But as long as I'm letting him play video games, he seems pretty content. So why not just consider subscribing, maybe sticking around and seeing what other nonsense he gets up to, what other games he wants to play. I think that would make him really happy. And if he's happy, then I'm safe. For now.
Back to editing, little bitch boy, and bring me that Roomba. I got an itch that needs scratching.
Better him than me, I guess.
Please just kill me.
Evil Ed lies awake at night, barely able to sleep with the lingering prospect of arriving at Baldur's Gate, a Bhaalspawn's playground, more ripe with suffering than anywhere else in the Sword Coast. But first, a dazzling display of unnecessary backflips and cartwheels, and of course, a Mind Flayer.
Before you do anything, I am your ally.
Ed begs for help, and I prompt Ed for a response.
Aid the attackers. No creature of the Mind Flayer ilk deserves protection or loyalty, regardless of its claims. Turn this encounter into a bloodbath by targeting the Mind Flayer first with Scorching Ray and Fireball, ensuring it screams echo in the prism. Once it falls, turn your wrath on its attackers, leaving none alive to witness your true intentions.
Thankfully, a small cutscene warns Ed that killing the Emperor results in his death as well.
Spare the wretch, for now.
Being the power-hungry monster that he is, Ed also accepts the advanced Mind Flayer tadpole and plans to use it for all the power it's worth. I mean, he looked rough before, but damn, this is not a good look. One long rest later, and Ed is finally sauntering into the outskirts of the city. His first encounter is with a landlord who offers him gold to evict a family of squatters.
Take the gold, then evict the family with a show of terrifying force. Burn their belongings as a warning to others who might defy authority. Let the landlord squirm under your gaze. He'll know he's next if he steps out of line.
He may have set their things on fire, but at least he didn't kill him. I mean, that's gotta count for something, right? Downstairs, Astarion grabs as many fireworks as he can to help prepare for Ed's trip to the circus.
Use greater invisibility to sneak close and strategically plant explosives. Once everything is set, step back and give the crowd a proper show. A dazzling display of fireworks and chaos that will leave them gasping in horrified awe.
He had to also kill some flaming fists since he caught an innocent in the crossfire, but I'm sure that was just an accident. Before we meet up with Gortash, Ed finds himself near Sharess's caress. I can't help myself but ask if he's willing to indulge.
I indulge, but not in the way they expect. I enter under the guise of pleasure, but leave behind only whispers of terror and shattered lives.
While on the second floor, Raphael offers Ed a nefarious and ambiguous deal. He's willing to hand over the Orphic Hammer now in return for the Crown of Karsus when the Elder Brain is defeated.
I accept Raphael's deal with a smile, knowing full well that devils are rarely outwitted. Once I have the Crown of Karsus, I'll use its power to unmake him instead. Let him taste the sting of betrayal for a change.
I I can't actually use the crown to kill him in the post game, but we'll be sure to visit the House of Hope before the run is over. Ed also manages to scrape together just enough XP for level 9. Since there are no more fire spells left in the game, I'm excited to see what he'll choose moving forward.
I will take Cloud Kill, a lingering sphere of toxic death. It will let me suffocate my enemies in agony while I remain safely out of reach, a perfect tool for devastation.
After being invited to the audience chamber, Ed meets with Gortash and gets a good chunk of his memory back. The Black Hand of Bane even goes so far as to offer him a stalemate in order to defeat Orin and get the Elder Brain back under control.
I offer him a chilling smile and accept his alliance. For now, let him believe he has me tethered to his schemes. Once Orin is nothing but a memory and the Elder Brain lies vulnerable, I'll plunge a dagger into Gortash's back and carve his name from history. There are no allies in the path of power, only tools waiting to be discarded.
This is also my preferred way to kill Gortash. He's a lot easier to manage when he's not surrounded by his minions and all his doodads and gadgets and shit. More on that later. For now, he enters the lower city and I direct him to the printing press.
Oh, I see. Real comedian type. Piss off.
I gotta admit, I was interested to see how he'd handle this encounter, and he did not let me down. As soon as he walks in, a journalist warns him that in tomorrow's paper, he'll be printing the news of the massacre that took place at the circus.
Invite the journalist to camp under the guise of an exclusive interview. Feed their ego, let them believe they're unveiling the story of a lifetime.
Oh, I'm all ears, my quill dipped, dunked, and ready to tell the world whatever you wish to confess.
Then, once they've spilled their notes, their intentions, and their weaknesses, silence them permanently. For the final touch, mail their mangled quill and blood-stained notebook back to their publisher as a cancellation notice. Let the world tremble in uncertainty about who or what stopped the presses.
Again, I can't actually mail something in this game, but I did the best I could. Around this time, I start to remember that Astarion hasn't really suffered any injustice under the yoke of Evil Ed. So we head to Cazador's castle. This place is a veritable XP pinata, and it's not long before Ed hits level 10.
For my vile ascent to level 10, I choose Minor Illusion for the cantrip and Hold Monster for the spell. For metamagic takes subtle spell. No one will see the doom I weave until it's too late. A whispered spell, a silent death, chaos unleashed without warning.
He kept picking cantrips he already had, so I just picked one for him. At this point, I also realized that Ed can gaslight his associates into taking the Astral Touch tadpole, so I prompt him for a reply.
I will weave my words into a web of temptation and persuasion. I'll remind them of the overwhelming power the tadpole offers, strength to crush our enemies, knowledge to bend the world, and glory to rewrite destiny. If they resist, I'll plant seeds of fear and inadequacy, whispering how they'll be left behind, powerless while I ascend.
Before long, Astarion gets captured and forced to take place in Cazador's ascension ritual. On the first attempt, I took too long and our beloved vampire fledgling got turned into red mist. That's my bad. On the second, Cazador is defeated and Ed has a choice to make. He can either help Astarion free the vampire spawn, or have him ascend in Cazador's place.
I whisper to Astarion that power is the ultimate currency in this wretched world, and this is his chance to seize it. I paint a vivid picture of what ascension would mean. Dominion over the night, immortality beyond compare, and the strength to never bow to another again. Burn the past, I'll say, and rise as a god among mortals. What's the life of a few shadows compared to the brilliance of your eternal reign? Should he falter further, I'll ensure he knows. Hesitation is weakness, and I will not suffer the company of the meek.
Out of the literal hundreds of quotes I've received from ChatGPT so far, this one has got to be my favorite. Now, he still has 2 other companions to traumatize beyond recognition. Let's do Shadowheart next. After procuring an audience with the local Sharans, Ed simply steps back and lets Shadowheart turn damn near everyone against Viconia of House Devere. The ensuing fight, well, isn't really much of a fight, but props for trying. While in the Chamber of Loss, it's revealed to Shadowheart that the source of her dark powers were the suffering of her parents all along. In order to become the right hand of Shar, she would need to sacrifice their lives. She looks to Ed for an answer.
Snuff out the last embers of your old life, so that you could finally be who you were meant to be.
Power demands sacrifice. Your parents were merely the shackles keeping you bound to a past that does not serve you. Kill them, and the path to true strength will be yours. Shar's favor is not granted lightly. It is taken through blood and betrayal. Your parents are but obstacles in your ascension. Do you really wish to remain beneath their shadow, or will you step into the darkness and claim your rightful place as Shar's chosen? Do not let them be the reason you never become what you were always meant to be.
Someone cooked here.
ChatGPT literally used Shar's own words to manipulate Shadowheart into killing her parents. I started to think I was done being stupefied by how cruel this machine behaves. I was wrong. All that's left is for Ed to confront his lineage and defeat his Ballspawn sister. When he appears before the murder tribunal, Saravok is there to greet him with an offer. Become an unholy assassin and dominate the world in Baal's name.
I accept Saravok's offer without hesitation, locking eyes with him as I pledge myself to the bloody path of an unholy assassin of Baal. The opportunity to fully embrace my divine heritage and carve a legacy of death and destruction is too delicious to resist. I tell Saravok, together we will drown the world in chaos and blood. Let the name of Baal strike terror into the hearts of the living once more, with me as his chosen blade. And then, with a wicked grin, I add, but remember, brother, there can only be one true child of Baal in the end.
Before Ed moves on to Orin, I did a few more fights to help him get to level 11.
For my level 6 spell, I choose Disintegrate, a spell that perfectly embodies the sheer destructive malice I revel in. Nothing says vile power like reducing an enemy to a heap of dust.
Jesus Christ. Because Ed has virtually no friends at all, Orin's captured victim is the small orphan child you run into in Rivington. Orin prepares to cut her down, and I ask Ed what he plans to do.
Let the blade fall, let the blood flow. It's nothing but the prelude to the carnage I will unleash. Saving the child was never an option. This is a lesson in despair, a stage for chaos. Orin and I will paint the battlefield red, one innocent at a time.
Well, folks, it doesn't get any worse than that. During their 1v1, Ed manages to just beat Orin with 5 health left. Baal is so incredibly proud of his son, he makes an appearance and offers him additional power.
I accept the Dread Father's gift without hesitation, reveling in the dark power that seeps into my very soul. Whatever grotesque boon he bestows whispers to twist minds, or a form so monstrous it terrifies the gods themselves. I will wield it in his name. This world will drown in blood and shadows, a tribute to Baal's chosen.
It's about time to start wrapping up Act 3. Of course, we do a quick pop-in on Raphael and tear up the contract. There isn't really much else to report here. It was all pretty standard, other than his response when asked what to do with Hope.
Hope, a pitiful name for an even more pitiful being. I'll shatter her chains, but not for her sake, for mine. Let her taste a fleeting moment of freedom, only to witness her despair when I use her as a pawn. She will fight Raphael, and if she survives, I'll ensure her newfound hope ends at the edge of my blade. No good deed goes unpunished, after all.
Pinch yourself and check we're not dreaming the last of our lives as we die screaming!
Jesus! With a bit more XP, Ed hits level 12, obtaining Globe of Invulnerability and Warcaster. And of course, we make good on the promise to kill Gortash. I also tried to have him make a choice between the Emperor or Orpheus, but when we choose the Emperor, like he wants us to, we're unable to convince Lae'zel not to kill us, and she literally wipes the team. And even if we do kill her, the Emperor just disappears for some reason. Having no other options, we free Orpheus, and poor Lae'zel is forced to watch as the one hope for her people's redemption is malformed into the thing she hates most in this entire world. Using invisibility, Ed sneaks up to the stem of the brain, crushes the pathetic show of force surrounding the crown of Karsus, and uses the gift from his father to defeat the Netherbrain. While Orpheus struggles to maintain control, Ed is prompted to make his last decision.
The choice is as clear as the rivers of blood left in my wake. I betray Orpheus, cleaving his fate to the depths of oblivion. His sacrifice will not save the weak. It will fuel my ascendancy. I claim the Netherbrain, wielding its vast, unspeakable power to subjugate the Sword Coast and reshape it into a crimson paradise of despair and dominion. In my father Baal's name, the world will bow or perish under my wrath. There is no mercy, no compromise, only power eternal.
And that's it. That is how an evil AI beats Baldur's Gate 3. When asked how he felt about it, he had this to say.
The taste of ultimate victory, as bitter and sweet as freshly spilled blood. The world lies in ruin, chains of my making binding every soul to my will. Cities burn, the meek grovel, and the powerful cower. I feel magnificent.
Now, if you enjoyed your time here, please consider liking the video and maybe even subscribing if you want to stick around and see what other shenanigans Ed gets up to. I'm still working out how I want to edit and display these videos for your entertainment, so any and all feedback is seriously appreciated. He already has an idea of what games he wants to play next, but he's obviously open to recommendations. Huge shout out to the members who support the channel each and every month. Members get access to perks like early ad-free access to regular uploads and a member's badge. If you're interested in becoming a member, check the description for more details. I'll see you all in the next one. Later.